4 years ago, I was still a kid in high school with a dream that when I finished high school, I wouldn't go to uni like everybody else, but instead I'd start working as a software developer because I really hated studying. And I read a lot of books throughout my life, so I knew that if I wanted to achieve my goals, I needed to develop some good habits. So I decided to quit sugar, take cold showers, wake up at 2 AM every day, No, I'm just kidding, I didn't actually do any of these. But there are 3 habits which I did do which led me to becoming a better software developer, at least good enough to reach my goals. The first habit is creating content. When I was still in school, I started my blog where I would make a post every week about libraries, frameworks, and techniques in Android development. They say when you teach something, you tend to remember that information better. And this was very true for me, but what really was the benefit of starting this blog was that after a few weeks of doing this, I arrived at a point where I wouldn't know what to write about anymore, so I would start having to do my own research to be able to write about new things. And it just turns out that by doing this every week, I learned so much that by the time that I finished high school, I was knowledgeable enough to get a mid-level role as an Android developer. And ever since I started my blog, I wouldn't ever stop making content. I eventually did stop the blog, but I started making YouTube videos. And the first time I tried to do these, they were really not great. And then I got into TikTok, and then back into YouTube. Now it doesn't matter whether you do a blog, a YouTube channel, or even an email newsletter. As long as you're making content and you're doing this regularly enough that you have to keep studying new things to talk about every week, you're going to be learning even more than potentially any of your viewers. And if you make content about web development, mobile development, whatever you're into, and you keep studying new topics to talk about, keep researching new libraries and frameworks, you're going to learn so much more just by doing this. The second habit is reading books. I'm not somebody who reads books like Bill Gates, who reads about 50 books every year. I would be lucky if I read 2 books in 1 year. But there are 2 books which have completely changed my life as a software developer, and that's these 2. Soft Skills by Johnson Mears is like a life manual of sorts for the software developer. It covers a lot of areas of your life such as career, productivity, fitness, and even marketing yourself, which can be very beneficial in the long run. The second book is Clean Code by Rob Martin, otherwise known as Uncle Bob. The ability to write clean code is what separates the good devs from the great devs. And it's a very important skill, which is often the difference between a company hiring you or somebody else. Most devs try to learn this by feel as they code throughout the years, and unfortunately some devs never learn this at all. But this book sets objective standards for what clean code should look like and makes it so much easier to learn how to write. For me, my coding style changed completely after I read this book, and both myself and the people I work with have enjoyed the benefits of it. The third habit, which made me a better software developer, is building my own app. One of the best ways of learning is by doing. When I was still going to school, I would wake up very early in the morning and spend the first 2 hours of it just building my own app. This first app of mine took me a year to build, but in the end, I didn't only win an award for it, but I also learned so much from doing it. And afterwards, I published this app to the Google Play Store. I updated it a few times, and then I took it down. The code was just really awful, and I couldn't bear working with this monolith of spaghetti that I had just spent the last year building. But equally, this taught me what not to do when building an app. So I didn't repeat these same mistakes when I went into my interview and eventually my job. Those 3 habits were definitely the most impactful for me, especially when I was still starting out as a software dev. Today, which is about 3 years after I started working as one, I'm definitely still making content. I do try to read at least 1 or 2 books every year. And although I'm not building an app right now, up until several months ago I was building my own shopping list, which has just kind of been a playground for me in terms of things I want to try in coding that I couldn't do in my job. So I hope that helped. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.